Have you ever heard a sound in the middle of the night that just felt wrong? A sound that sent a shiver straight down your spine? Well, for two friends, Alex and Ben, a weekend camping trip turned into the most terrifying experience of their lives, all because of a single horrifying sound. They had driven for hours, pushing deeper and deeper into a remote national forest, wanting to get completely off the grid. Their chosen campsite was perfect, a small clearing, surrounded by ancient, towering trees, miles from any road. The nearest town was a good 40 miles away. As the sun set, they built a roaring campfire, cooked their dinner, and shared stories under a canopy of brilliant stars. The silence of the wilderness was absolute, broken only by the crackle of the fire and the occasional hoot of a distant owl. It was peaceful. It was perfect, until it wasn't. Around 2 in the morning, Alex was jolted awake. He sat bolt upright in his sleeping bag, his heart hammering against his ribs. It was a scream. A woman's scream, raw and filled with sheer terror. "Help me! Somebody, please help me!" The voice was faint, but unmistakable. He shook Ben awake. "Ben, wake up! Did you hear that?" Ben, groggy and confused, listened. And then it came again, closer this time. "Help! Please help me!" Every instinct told them to go and help. A woman was in trouble, out here in the middle of nowhere. They grabbed their brightest flashlights, their beams cutting sharp cones of light through the suffocating darkness. "Hello?" Ben called out, his voice trembling slightly. "Is someone there?" The only reply was the scream, now seemingly just beyond the edge of their campsite, maybe 100 feet away. It was agonizing, desperate. But something was incredibly strange. As the screams got closer and closer, moving around their clearing, they never heard a single footstep. Not a twig snap, not a rustle of leaves. The forest floor was covered in dry debris. It would be impossible for anyone, let alone someone running and screaming, to move that silently. The air grew cold, and the primal fear of the unknown began to creep in, overriding their urge to be heroes. This wasn't right. The screams sounded human, but the silence between them was utterly unnatural. They stood frozen, back to back, sweeping their flashlight beams across the impenetrable wall of trees. The screaming continued for what felt like an eternity, sometimes seeming to come from the left, then instantly from the right, as if whatever was making it could teleport. Then, as abruptly as it began, it stopped. The profound silence that followed was somehow even more terrifying than the screams themselves. They didn't sleep for the rest of the night, sitting by the dying embers of their fire, jumping at every tiny sound the forest made. The next morning, exhausted and rattled, they packed up their gear in record time. As they were hiking out, they ran into a park ranger on the trail. They quickly recounted the harrowing events of the night, expecting him to launch a search party. Instead, the ranger's expression became grim, his eyes filled with a look they couldn't quite place. He told them they weren't the first to report something like this. For decades, campers and hikers in this specific part of the forest had reported hearing mimic sounds. Voices crying for help, babies crying, even familiar voices calling their names from the trees, luring them off the path. He said the locals had a name for it, the siren of the woods. No one had ever found a source. Shaken, Alex and Ben finally made it back to their car and drove straight home, the ranger's words echoing in their minds. A few days later, Ben remembered something. He had set up a small digital voice recorder on a stump near their tent, hoping to capture some of the nighttime sounds of the forest. With a sense of dread, they plugged it in and found the recording from that night. They fast-forwarded through the hours of silence until they reached it. The scream. It was even more chilling on the recording, a sound of pure despair. They listened as it got closer and closer, just as they remembered. But then they heard something they hadn't noticed that night. After the final desperate scream, right before the recording went silent, It was a whisper. A faint, raspy whisper, so quiet they had to turn the volume all the way up. It was right next to the recorder, right next to their tent. And it whispered their names. Alex, Ben. They never went camping again. What do you think was out there in the woods with them? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe for more unexplained mysteries. Stay safe out there.